Our goal is to really, accelerate and make more opportunities truly happen, the right opportunities. And so since May, we're pretty excited with this, new software that we've rolled out, along with our team helping guide through the process of selling and buying through the different steps. We have 716 total registered buyers and sellers. Our total database, because we've been doing this for a while at Law Practice Exchange, is like 5,000. So if you're not in the marketplace, hop on over and create an account, because it's really where we're starting to see movement, and really where all of our shift will go to making opportunities, really through that connection and those matches. But we're really excited to have, 716 join. 476 of those are buyers, 240 are sellers. The interesting part about this is overall, like the last couple years, Mike can attest to this too. We've seen like 5-to-1 buyers coming in as sellers. So we've actually in the marketplace, hopefully this is a good sign of we're taking down some of the barriers. We're actually seeing sellers join. That doesn't mean they're all creating listings, like actively marketing their practice right now, but we actually have more sellers, joining the marketplace, which is a great thing, because that's some of our barriers. We have more buyers interested in buying. We just need those sellers to enter the marketplace, get comfortable, get their ducks in a row so they can really move forward in their exit plan. So 2-to-1, we're pretty excited about. So much better than 5-to-1 aspect where we try to create scale and make some opportunities happen. 65 active listings. If you go to our website right now, or if you're in the marketplace, I think that's us today, unless Heather's going to update me and say we've got another 1 or 2 in today, which is great. It's tremendous when we look back to Mike. I think this time last year, we probably had 12 active listings, correct? Something like that. So having 65 just provides more, opportunity. Like if you're going to be out there dating, you need candidates to do that. And so our overall goal is to, make more of those candidate potentials. We just rolled out in the last couple of weeks as well. If you haven't been in, is our find a buyer, find a seller. You can find it under that left toolbar if you go there. But overall, this is a great place where it's already pre-selected based on practice area. So if you're a seller and you haven't been getting, the interest that you want, you can actually go there and look at all these pre-selected buyer prospects. They're all confidential, but you can send them a message to say, hey, I see that we may be a potential fit, and they can message you back and kind of start those communications. And buyers can do the same, right? So now instead of having to keep rechecking the listings, you can really go under that find a buyer, find a seller tool and have that pre-selected, or select your own criteria to directly search, filter, and message to that. And then as part of that rollout as well, you should, if you're in the marketplace, get active notifications via email now for new potential matches. Before we go forward, I'll mention this again. If you have questions, our team, as Mike said, we're here to guide and help. So, book a call, right? You can reply to one of the emails you probably received on this. Anything else, message, Mike, Heather, or I, we're happy to answer some questions. As Mike said, we'd like to get deals done. Like
Yes.
we're not working for seller, we're not typically working for buyer. Our goal is to make good deals happen. And so we're happy to be a resource there, whether it's one of our trusted partners, connect you with a lender, whether it's strategic advice of how do you handle this, anything else. And our consulting services are there to really back it up. So, give us a reply email, scan the QR code, anything else.
One lesson that we've learned this year is that sellers want more than just money. And that by that, I mean, all else equal, sometimes a $2.5 million offer is less attractive than a $2 million offer. And why would that be? Well, we have sellers of a different variety. And I would say, while we are seeing an increase in transactionally minded sellers, we still have a lot of more traditional lawyer sellers in the mix, and what they're looking for are a number of different things. One, they're very concerned about their legacy. We work with a lot of sellers that are in smaller communities, and word gets around. So these sellers are worried about their reputation after they leave. And did they just cash out for the highest dollar value and leave everything else, or did they, are they still, good stewards in the community, continuing that, leaving it with someone who they've vetted. So it's not all just about money.
To everybody on this call, when Mike joined, a lot of, I think, Mike, your background on recruitment and everything else had really been that fit, right? Really going through fit assessment between a buyer and seller of, hey, buyer, why are you buying this? Is it the right fit for your growth plan? But also, like seller, is this buyer the right and best fit for you and your overall goals and legacy preservation? Does matter more than price. And that's, something that hopefully is a good thing for buyers, but also is a good thing for sellers, meaning, yeah, you can get hung up. Do I have $1 million law firm? Do I have a $5 million law firm? I want 5 million. I want 1 million for it, right? Great. But if you find the right, buying partner and it checks all of your boxes on goals and it's a solid transition plan, I think this, Mike, is where we get into like that structure and that fit, right, is going to outperform the price. Like you're going to get the price that you want or more if you can find the right overall structure. And I think it surprises a lot of our buyers, because most buyers come in under the financial, like, I need to make an offer. This is my financial risk to do so. But to our sellers, they have turned away higher priced offers, right? Mike, I mean, they have turned away
Mhm.
higher overall financial outcomes for the better fit and structure to kind of meet their legacy or transition goals. Or it's just like, this is really good. Like, I know this other one's willing to pay me more, but they would, eliminate all my team and I'd be gone. They don't need me. This one kind of, provides that I can stay on and work for the next year or so, which is what I want to do. They're going to keep and transition and retrain my team, which is great. And so we see that, which I think as a buyer, it's important to really, as a takeaway to this, to walk into it to say, I need to know what the seller's goals are.
Yeah, he is looking for scalable practice. And in my article, I touch on this. There's a lot of fear in the legal profession. My God, private equity is going to buy up everything. What is that? What are the implications going to be for a lawyer's focus on service to the client versus profit, et cetera? But in reality, and what we've seen from both the UK and Australia is that private equity isn't buying everything. They're not buying every legal practice. What they're looking for is scalable practices. So what private equity knows how to do is they know how to come in, provide superior operations and management, and they can really enhance the financial performance of a firm through doing that. That's what they do in other industries, and that's what they know. They come in and do that, and then eventually sell the acquisition target at a higher price, in a number of years from the initial acquisition. That's what they know how to do. They also know how to value, uh, companies in spaces outside the legal services industry. They're not quite there yet in terms of knowing how to value law firms, which are completely different than other service industry businesses due to the human capital requirements, licensures needed, ethics requirements, various jurisdictional requirements for lawyers. And so what they're really focused on now, given that, is really highly scalable industry. And what do I mean by scalable? Scalable, I mean that operations that really legal practices that really lend themselves well to processes and procedures. You can deploy processes and procedures to create lots of efficiencies, and minimize or right size talent at the firm.
I think, Mike, one of the big things that, of course, we have sellers in Arizona or buyers and everything else that are so interested in private equity. Private equity is already in the legal space for funding, right? They're already
Mhm.
offering us lending and everything else. So in Arizona, now they can lend or they can partner with you, right? So we've already had PE in the space, in the legal space, but now they're really switching over to, can we be a partner, a true investor, an owner, anything else from that? But I think what really drives that for a lot of people is sure, access to capital. Like, what could I do with PE's money for my, growing personal injury firm, and overall valuation, like exit. And I think, Mike, one of the lessons that to this point is we've heard everything, right? We've heard PE is going to pay a 10 multiple on revenues, right? They're not. That PE is just going to throw money, at anybody. If you have $1 million law firm, they're not. I think right now what we're seeing is, the private equity that we've communicated with over the last, few years, several years, and more, recently, is really looking at typically their standard. They would love a $5 to $10 million profit base firm.
Yeah, so scalability is always in the forefront of the mind of the purely financially motivated buyer, and we have a lot of those. And I'll say this generationally, just as a casual observation, Gen X, which is my generation, I guess born 64 through 70 something, we're starting to see many Gen X sellers that are of a transactional mind, and we're seeing many Gen X buyers that are of a transactional mind. In order to really get a good profit, it does require looking to be able to scale practices, get efficiencies, et cetera. And I've already mentioned what some of those practices are. Transactionally focused practice that are federal in nature, don't require a lot of office space, can be done with a lot of non-lawyer talent, et cetera. I think it's also the best way to get value. I mean, Tom is at the forefront of law firm valuation, and he'll tell you, these are the types of practices that command the highest multiples in the market. So they're very these become very attractive to buyers looking with the mind of, I'm going to build a law firm so that in 10, 15, 20 years, I'm going to sell it. And we do see those buyers now.
Yeah, and I think, Mike, you kind of alluded to the practice areas we see that in, right? As far as personal injury, immigration, IP, even real estate, those that can really be processed, automated to some aspect, with, AI seeming to disrupt every industry, including the legal, right? How much can be integrated to make it more efficient, make it so that the revenues are higher, the market share is greater, and hopefully the expenses are maintained, right? The expenses don't track with, oh, if I grow, I have to add a high priced attorney. If that's your scalable plan, like I grow, I add a high price attorney, it just gets tough because overall that's where, buyers are like, well, what if that attorney leaves, right? If they're a really high priced, true expert. So we're seeing a lot of it on the consumer practice area side specifically. And I think, as you look at, technology, you look at process, I think the most interesting part to our sellers, and something Mike talks about a lot, which I think is great, is you as a seller, your deal to one buyer may mean a whole lot more than that deal to a different buyer,
Mhm.
right? And so an example of that is, like we always say, keep all options on the table, right? So if you're running a law practice, it's a good, small law practice, whatever else, and you're talking to one attorney who's maybe leaving in-house counsel, they want to own a law practice, they've got some experience in this, right? They're going to be that. They're looking at it as like they're going to step into your shoes and it's going to be, that opportunity for them. So they're limited by the financials of what your practice is. When in essence is like, if you're an immigration practice and here's this, upstart high technology immigration firm, but they're going to take and be able to cross sell and market and do more with your firm and your, clients efficiently, that deal might mean a whole lot more to them because of the growth potential, because of the efficiency that they'll bring to move your clients and the revenues and everything else onto their platform. So it's actually a higher price deal for them, like the opportunity there. And so it goes back to, of course, fit and just finding that right one. But I do think scalability, as it really leads to, if you're in a practice and you're focusing on things to do to get your practice in a better position, focus on what are those, basic systems, right? That you can just build in, and how you can really talk to buyers about this is what I would really double down on to grow. It's a great service. Our team really does it well. We make good money on it, all of those things to really scale and grow from that side. And I think the other part, Mike, in scalability is really, branding comes into that, right?
Yeah.
Geographic market comes into that, and then technology comes in. Like that's the biggest thing is, if you match with a buyer or match with a seller, like we're here to help make that deal happen if it's meant to happen, right? We work, as Mike said, deal nerds, right? Like our goal is to actually see that and get excited about it to make sure it's a win-win on the financial, the succession, check all the boxes to do that. So if we can help, click the QR, shoot us a reply, a message, anything else, we'd be happy to do so.